All right, guys, here we go. We're going to do the rest of the review guide except for the one that requires a calculator. That one just takes too much time to do up here, so we'll go over that in class today. So, number 11, we're given 2 coordinate points, and then we're asked to get our answer in slope-intercept form. So that's slope-intercept form. You have to have that memorized, right? So I don't say write it in this form, y equals mx plus b. You just have to know that that's slope-intercept form. In order to get there, though, it's not easy from 2 coordinate points to get the y-intercept. And so we're going to start off with point slope form right here. Okay, so we also have to have this formula memorized as well. In order to get point slope, we need we have 2 coordinates. We need at least a coordinate point, and we need the slope. So to get the slope, we're going to use this formula. So this is going to be x1, y1, x2, y2. And if we do it that way, so let's see, y2 is -2, minus y1 is 4, over x2 is 6, minus x1 is -3. Now, subtracting a negative, this turns into a plus. The numerator becomes -6. The denominator becomes 9. But this simplifies. They're both divisible by 3. And so we can actually write that as -2 over 3 if we divide them both by 3 here. All right, so that's our slope. And so I'm going to plug that in for m right here. So this is -2/3. I'm also going to replace x1 and y1 here. Now, you can use either point. It doesn't have to be the one that I labeled as x1 and y1, but I usually just use the first point anyway. All right, so y1 is 4, and then x1 is -3, but a -3 is going to make that a +3 right here. Now, all we have to do is distribute and then add over that 4 to get it into slope-intercept form. So if we distribute, so we have y minus 4 is equal to -2/3 x. We're going to have a negative times a positive, so that's going to be a negative right there. And then let's see, we have 2/3 times 3 over 1. You multiply the top to get 6. You multiply the bottoms to get 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And so this number is a -2 right here. All right, the last step is we add 4 to both sides. Plus 4 plus 4. Those cancel. Y is equal to -2/3 x plus 2, and that's our answer to number 11 here. All right, 12 is the same thing, but this time we're given a table. And if you're given a table, you can still use the formula from last time for slope, or you could just calculate the change in y over the change in x. Well, our y values are decreasing by 6 each time, while our x values are increasing by 3 each time, plus 3 plus 3. So the delta y, or the change in y, is -6. Change in x is +3. 6 divided by 3 is 2, so our slope is -2. Now again, you could pick any of these coordinate points. I usually just pick the first one. All right, so it's going to be y minus 4 is equal to -2 times x minus -5 or +5 right here. Just like the last question, all you have to do is distribute here. So distribute that -2. Once we've done that, the last step is to add 4 to both sides. So that's going to give us this answer right here. The answer, that's slope-intercept form. Number 13, we're given a graph, and we're asked to write the equation in slope-intercept form. Now, this one I can clearly see that this graph has a y-intercept of 3 right here. Y-intercept of 3. And so I'm not going to use point slope form because I can get the value of b. Right, so b is just 3 here. B is just 3. Now to get m, we have to do rise over run. So from one point to the next, and I just marked them as clearly as I could up here. But from one point to the next, the graph goes down. Let me make that a little bit bigger. The graph goes down 2, right 1. And so our slope is -2 over 1. That's our rise, that's our run. So m is -2 over 1, which is just -2. So that's our answer right there. All right, so that's 13. Again, I'm skipping 14. 15 through 18 should be pretty quick here. So we're given a piecewise function with 3 parts. And we're asked to evaluate all of these values here. So we're going to start with f of -2. Now, the inside is the x value. So I just look at which interval x belongs in. And -2 is less than, on a number line, less than or left of -1. So all I'm going to do is take that -2, I'm going to plug it in for this x right here. So that would give us 2 times -2 plus 1. All right, that's -4 plus 1, or -3. That's our answer to f of -2. Now, when x is -1, well, that is right here, right? Because this says x is greater than or equal to -1. And so typically we would plug in -1 for x, but there's no x, so that 4 is just our answer. That's it, just 4. All right, both 2 and 4 fall in this interval. They're greater than or equal to 2, so I'm going to plug in both 2 and 4 for x. So I'm going to do 1/2 times 2 minus 1. Now that 2 is over 1. All right, so we multiply the tops, we multiply the bottoms. So we get 2 over 2 minus 1, but 2 over 2 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0, and that's our answer. F of 4, same thing. Replace the x with a 4. But that 4, let me kind of block that off a little bit. That 4 is really over 1. So multiply the top and the bottom. We get 4 over 2. 4 over 2 is 2, and 2 minus 1 is 1. So that's our answer right there. All right, then the last question on the review, we're asked to sketch a graph of this right here. Now, I split this one up at 0, but remember from class, it doesn't have to be 0 that it's split up. So, we're going to start by graphing y equals -2x. Now, this is mx plus b form. Our b is just 0. And so this graph is going to start at the origin, and it's going to have a slope of -2, which is being divided by 1. So this is our rise, this is our run. So from that point, I can go down 2 and right 1, or I could go up 2 and left 1. Okay, and then we just draw a line through those points right there. Okay, but again, with a piecewise function, you don't keep the whole thing. We only keep the part where x is less than or equal to 0. In other words, to the left of 0. So I'm going to draw 0 in yellow. 0 is the y-axis. Right? This is x equals 0. If it was x equals 1, I would just scoot it over, or negative something, I would scoot it over that way. Okay, so I'm going to keep everything that is on this line or to the left of it, right? That's less than or equal to. So I'm going to get rid of all this over here, right up to that point, get as close as I can. There we go. All right, so that's our graph for -2x. And it goes forever that way. Lastly, 1/3 x plus 1. 1/3 x plus 1. Y-intercept is 1, so I'm going to put a point at 0, 1. I'm going to go up 1, right 3. Up 1, right 3, like that, or down 1 and left 3. And so again, normally this and that would be our graph. Okay, but we're only going to keep the part where x is greater than or to the right of 0. Again, this is 0, so I'm going to keep everything over here, but I'm going to get rid of everything to the left of 0. We even are going to get rid of that point right there. And we're going to change it to an open circle because there's no line underneath the greater than symbol. So that's how we show that there. All right. So that's the graph. I hope this was helpful. Make sure you guys study for your test tomorrow. Make sure you know all those formulas that we have with slope and slope-intercept and point-slope form. And you may want to just practice all this one more time tonight just to make sure you guys are good for an oral. But that's it. Stay flawless.